which means that if when the connections go, anyways, we're gonna put the intro music now. So we're gonna start it now.
Hello, guys. Technically, we're live at the moment. So, hello, peoples. We don't have
Hello.
mic, so we're just making
Hello?
it work.
Hello, what's up, bro?
Hey, it's the What's Up Bro podcast. We talk movies, sports, TV shows, pop culture, and it's funny, mother. With nary signs. I'm like, what? How can this? They have Photoshop. Photoshop exists when this artist rendition was done. How the fuck is this not cooler looking than a sketch that looks like it was done by a hillbilly off the side of the road? What the fuck are we talking? Why is this a thing?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Steph, Onion Mayor Senior.
Yeah, I don't have to look for you.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah!
And Mike Markadal.
I'm just glad I like vanilla, boring sex like this. I'm glad that the sex I enjoy won't get me killed.
That's how winning is done.
Hey, I'm Dave Chappelle, and this is What's Up, Bro.
Oh, it's just me by myself. I don't know what happened with Neri, and now this is awkward. At this point, I feel like it's about to start a monologue.
There you go. Can you hear me? We're right. We're good.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay.
I had a small moment where I'm like, it's an actual nightmare. Me by myself.
It's fine. It's fine. We've all seen Bill Burr do it. It's fine. We could all do it.
I'm just like Bill Burr. Exactly.
Well, did you know when I first started podcasting, I thought that that's what podcasting was, is because all I knew about podcasting was the one who convinced me to do a podcast 12, 13 years ago was Robert Kelly. And then my only experiences with podcasting, my knowledge of it was Bill Burr. So I would listen to him and he would record his in the airport on his phone. And it would be like one of those apps where it wasn't even an app. It was just like you go on, you make a phone call and it just sends it to the internet type of deal. And I thought that's what podcasting was.
Memos to himself?
I guess, but it's an hour long. He would always do an hour long. So I thought that if I wanted to do a podcast, I would have to speak for an hour by myself. Like I did not understand that was an outlier. I didn't understand that was very different than the rest of society, the rest of podcasting world. Like that doesn't happen. That's not the norm. So yeah. Anyways, welcome to the What's Up Bro podcast. I don't know if you said that already, Steph, but I had to say that. Okay. Yeah. Did you say it before? Oh, I can't even hear you now.
Oh,
Now I can't hear
here we
you.
are.
There you are.
Hey.
I can hear you.
We're
Now I can hear
fine.
you. Yay!
Okay.
Technology. I am Nary Science. With me is Steph Mayer Senior, and that part was not a glitch. That was just me doing my regular introduction for her. But yes, it's back. We didn't do last week, right? We didn't do a show last week. Am I correct?
No, we didn't. We took last week off. Just
You
of
took last week
scheduling.
off. Look, man, we're trying to schedule 3 different time zones in 2 different hemispheres. It's
Yeah.
very weird. This podcast, as far as scheduling is concerned, it's a very delicate process. When
Yeah.
somebody says, "Hey, I'm available for Tuesday," we have to underline what Tuesday means because because some people's Tuesday is somebody else's Wednesday, and it's very weird. Um,
Yeah. We've had
anyways,
that happen a few times where I'm like, nope, wrong day. I'm like, yesterday I was ready. I was like sitting here ready to record. I literally like came back sweating from a run to like drop off the kids, and I was like, I guess this is who I am now. And then all of a sudden you were like, you know I was talking about tomorrow, right? I was like, no.
yeah, because I was like,
This time is
I
weird.
even because of our conversations, our WuBro chat conversations, where I say, "Hey, in my I now I specify everything in Wednesday Miami time, Wednesday 8 p.m. Miami time," like because I do that
None of
so
us are in
often,
Miami at the minute. Like none of
but
us.
none of us. But because I do that so often, I find myself doing that with other chats that everybody's in Miami. And they're like, "You don't have to specify that. We're all in Miami." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. In my
Yeah.
I have other group chats that not everybody's
Other
in
friends.
Miami." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it is weird when you go to other people's chat, when you go to another chat where with 5 other people and all 5 are in Miami, and you say, "Hey, I'll be home on Tuesday Miami time," and they're like, "Yeah, we understood what that means." That's what that means. You don't have to clarify
Seriously,
that.
you're like,
Uh,
you're not understand. My time zone, your time zone is literally like physically changing at all times because you are literally moving as you speak.
yeah,
So it's also tricky having to
physically.
time it like that. Yeah, physically.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad Mike is not here because we are recording on a Wednesday and not a Tuesday. Well, let me rephrase that: Wednesday in Miami, Thursday
yes.
in Australia.
So, yeah.
Because we're recording this late in the week. Normally we have been recording on Tuesdays, and Mike is at work. And because of my work schedule that just happens to be moving around so often, this is the only day that I can do it. And then so Mike is not with us. And we used to play a game. I don't know if you remember this stuff. Is whenever one of our regular co-hosts would not be here, we used to play what do you think they're doing? So
Right.
what do you think Mike Mercadal is doing instead of being on the show?
Ooh, what is he currently doing? Other than busking, which is probably closer to what he's actually doing.
I don't know what busking is.
Busking is when you like perform on the streets in like New York and they get the money and you're like perform for the crowd and
There's a word
stuff.
for that. I thought it was just street
Yes,
performing. I
busking.
thought it was street performing. I didn't know that.
No,
I'm like, all
yeah,
right, I'm learning. All right.
yeah, it's busking, which I'm like, it's pretty close to what stand-ups have to do anyways. Except usually they're just like it's just indoors now. So
Sure.
location has changed. Still trying to entertain the masses and try to get tips here and there, but
Yeah.
so he's the new cowboy in Times Square. I know he's not in New York
Oh, do
anymore.
you think with the underwear? With the underwear?
Yeah.
But he maybe he's taking it West Coast. Maybe he's like, oh, if it works
Yeah.
so well in Times Square, I'll do it in like the Grove in Hollywood.
No, like right on the Sunset Strip.
Nice.
So he's like fighting off Elmos.
Oh, it's so good. That would be a good idea if the cowboy went over, like the naked cowboy went over to the West Coast, but it's not the actual naked cowboy. It's just like a version of the naked cowboy.
I could swear I think someone's tried to pull that off before in Miami.
Like
I
the
remember seeing some
off-brand.
videos.
Oh, Miami would be the
Like a
naked
vaquero.
Meng. And naked Meng.
No.
Yeah.
There,
I'm with
anywhere you
that.
have the bro. Like in Miami, anywhere you have the bro.
Yeah. A
The
naked
bear,
bro.
bro? I don't know.
That'd be South Beach. Very different.
This
Very
is true.
different.
That's fair.
Very different. Speaking of which, we watched the docuseries on Ashley Madison on Netflix.
Did you
And
finish it? I
y-
started it. I could not finish it, just timing
I
wise. But I was
watched
so
I watched
did.
every episode. In fact,
Oh, you could fill me in
so
on it. But
same thing happened with the Tinder. Same thing happened with the Tinder documentary. Remember when that happened? That I clicked on it not knowing what the hell what the story was. I didn't, whatever. I clicked on this Ashley Madison doc only because it was on Netflix and it was like new on Netflix, and I was like, yeah, I'll click on it. And I
Mhm.
only knew about the data breach, but I didn't know the extent of the data breach, and I did not
Mm.
know, anything else. I didn't know about the stories about it.
I
So,
have a story related to
tell
the
me this.
data
All
breach.
right, tell me the story. What's
Um,
the story?
so wait, what year did the data breach happen again? Because I'm trying to like that's one thing. I was trying to
Uh,
jog my memory. Couldn't remember.
you're asking me for a year. I think it's 2015, maybe.
Something. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was far enough that I had already been separated from my ex-husband for a while, like divorced from him for a
sure.
while. And I had
Were you
when
at
I
a
remember the
subway?
data breach happening. What?
Were you at a subway? That's a very
No,
deep
I don't
cut.
understand.
Remember,
Yeah, I was
because
gonna say, I'm like, I lost it.
you lost them on you lost them on a subway, and
Oh
then you turn around and
god.
you confuse them for somebody else because you thought
It
they
was
all looked the
really
same.
bad. It was so bad. I was in a subway. I was like pissed at him and I turned around and I assumed he was following me, whatever.
But you
Anyways,
thought because he's Asian and you were in Japan.
I was in
Was it
Hong
Japan?
Kong.
Hong
I was in
Kong?
Hong Kong. I just wasn't used to him being the same height as everyone, and it just it threw me off. It threw me off.
Well, Stephanie turns around to yell at this poor man who had no idea who she was and why he's being yelled at because
They're not
Stephanie thought it
even the
was
same
her.
kind of Asian. They're not even. It's not even the same kind of I don't know why I thought this person was my husband. Just
Mm. You just
I just
assumed that a 5'4" person behind you was going to be the person. You just assumed.
but I also just assumed that if I was pissed and walking off in like a country that like none of us like none of us are from and I don't have a phone on me, he would follow me, but
No, man. Sorry. You
no,
walk off. You
apparently
walk off.
not.
That's you're the one making that decision to
No,
walk off. Nobody told you.
it was very much a life lesson of like play stupid games, win super prizes.
Yeah.
It was very much a life lesson. I have never done anything like that again in my life because I'm
Mess
like,
around and find out. Mess around and find out.
because it's really weird feeling to be an adult and all of a sudden like have that moment again of being like, I'm lost. Like that
Uh,
child
he-
feeling of like,
Help me.
oh no,
Help me.
help. And all of a sudden, like the realization of like, I have no concept of where I am on the planet at the minute. It was very disorientating. But anyways, back to the data breach.
You
When the whole thing
digress.
happened with actually like with much segues. When the whole thing happened with the data breach, I was like eating all the drama up, like num num num. It was like delicious. And I just couldn't, it was like 100% that Schadenfreude thing. Like, sorry, Schadenfreude. It is a German word.
I know what that means, but explain it to the dumb audience who they don't know what that means. So explain that. I know what it means, of course, but you go ahead and tell that to
Schadenfreude
somebody.
is I'm like not pronouncing it super correctly, but it's a German word that means taking joy in the pain of others.
Mm. I thought I was
So
just
like
sipping the tea.
well, I mean it's the part of us that enjoys it, right? The part of us that
Yeah.
enjoys that scalding tea is that side that also like loves that, but the Germans have an actual word for the feeling.
Okay.
But 100% it was that thing of like I couldn't like everyone who's on that site, I was like, haha. And someone had come up with a website where they had uploaded all the data into the back end and it was just a
Sure.
searchable tab and
Yep.
you can look up people and pull
They
up
talk about
people you
that. They talk
knew.
about that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
doc. They talk about that. Yeah.
Oh, I
So you could
100% like flew through people.
you could literally pull up emails. You could literally pull up names or emails.
Mhm.
The emails was the quickest
Yeah.
bet because for the most part people had aliases, right? Like your screen name, your whatever it's called, your
Yeah.
what's that thing called? Your caller name, whatever it's called, your call
Yeah.
sign is not. Very few people literally. You wouldn't put nary signs as your username, right? But you would
Mhm.
use your real email address. And I mean,
Yeah, to sign up.
it
Yeah.
was it was brutal. I mean, that's got to be so brutal on so many. I mean, you haven't gotten there, so I'm not gonna
Also,
spoil. I don't want to.
rookie moves too, but like yeah, like
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna be like, that sounds like something stupid, right? That sounds like something that
but that's the thing.
I honestly, that sounds like and again, not to be a ageist, but that sounds like something that like somebody in 2015 who were in their 50s and 60s would do. because they don't
100%.
know any better, because they're like, whoa, well, this is my email address that I use to pay my bills. So why would I not use this email address to cheat on my wife? Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Feel like they didn't understand what an internet paper trail was yet. So it's one of the things where like, dude, no.
But in 2015, if you were in your 20s and 30s, you should have known better. I feel like you should have known better. And a lot of these people did not. And a lot of these people did not. Like, it's whatever.
Look, honestly, I think if you're already in the place mentally, if you're signing up onto a website to go and cheat on your partner, thought processes have already gone out the window a little bit. So like, not entirely surprised that these people ended up running into that wall.
You know my feeling about this topic, right? The whole topic of infidelity is very difficult. I've said this before, and you got mad at me and then proved me right. To the audience, let me remind you, I have a running joke with another guy friend of mine who's like, there's only so much you can talk about this before women start looking at you, right? Like that's a thing. And it was proven right on this podcast many episodes ago, when I was talking about like, well, but whatever, he's an athlete, and then you turn quickly, like, and then it was like really like very much accusational. I remember me and Mike just laughing because I was like, you're proving my whole point right now. But I say all of this in preface to what you just said about it's a rookie mistake and all of these things, and you go, I don't want to comment because I don't want to make it seem as if I wouldn't have done, like, I wouldn't have done that, but I was like, so when you say like logic has left the building, you should be more careful. Like when you go into a website that specifically, it's not the same thing as I'm like, hey, I was strolling through Facebook and I ran into an ex and then shit snowballed, right? Like that's, again, I'm not defending that behavior, but I'm saying that that's more understandable for getting to, delete messages or lack of, or not have anything sent to your
like
personal
getting caught
email.
Up in the moment.
Getting caught up in the moment. When you're going, my logic, my thinking is, if you're going to a website where it's specifically meant to have an affair, that was their tagline. Life is short, have an affair. So if you're going into this website whose tagline is have an affair, you should go in there more cautious. You should go in there looking around every corner. Like that's, again, my opinion. But again, in 2015, I was, I don't know, 32, 34, whatever the hell I was, 33. So maybe the logic of like, hey, maybe don't put your real email address would have like popped into my head. But again, I don't want to say it would have popped into my head because I was like, I wasn't there. You can look me up. I didn't do shit.
No, but paranoia is paranoia, right? Like I would. Like, it's not like you wouldn't be like super interested. Like, how does that even work? Because like I looked up Ashley Madison back in the day when I heard about it, because I'm like, how the fuck does that even work? But then the moment I knew I was going to sign on to it, huh?
Were you even married at the time?
No, I was dating. I was dating someone. I was dating my ex.
Right.
Yeah. But like we had heard about it, and I was like, what the hell? What are they talking about? What is this site? And like the moment you even see the front page and you see the tagline, I'm like, I'm not fucking with that. Because that wasn't my intention, right? Sure. And I already know to be like, I'm not fucking with this. But there are people who was just like at that moment, like if you already haven't thought, don't want to have this connected with me, that's on you. Sorry, at that point, like you made the mistake.
Well, again, but, I don't think anybody. Well, that's not true. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there is one lady who you. What episode are you on? There's 3 episodes.
No, I'm still on the first.
Okay, so I love the fact that you brought up this subject yesterday and you haven't watched it. I love the fact that you're like, maybe we should talk about this Ashley Madison doc. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I've already seen all 3 episodes. I'm down. And you're like, great. I'll watch 20 minutes and then let you know, and then we could talk about this. I'm like, what?
Well, because I wanted to tell the story.
But you brought it up. What story? That story?
No.
Oh, let's get to the story. Get to the story.
Okay, so I was like looking up, and of course I had this like, you of course have to like look up exes, right? Like I looked up my ex-husband to see like, because I always thought he did and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, not there. Because I knew all his emails and stuff. He's like, not there. I was like, whew.
You think
that's one thing.
You think you knew
for all I
know.
Emails. For all I know. But at least it was a little moment of whew. And I just had this feeling in the back of my head that I knew who would be on there. And I immediately looked up, oh man, how do I say this without giving out too much information? I don't know, fuck that guy. No,
you don't have to give real names. You could just say an ex, or you could just say a guy I knew at work or something. You don't have to say names. If you don't want to, it's up to you. I mean, just saying, like, it's you don't have to. It's not a thing.
Whatever. But a really good friend of his who used to kind of give me shade all the time and like didn't like entirely trust me, or like it was very much like I think he was projecting a bit. Because like
Sure.
immediately in the back of my head, I'm like, no, this bitch. Looked him up, immediately popped up.
And he was
Immediately
married?
popped up. Yeah, yeah. And he was married with
Oh
kids.
wow. Ooh, wow,
And
yeah,
and I was having this like weird moment back then of like, do I say something?
yeah.
Like, do I tell someone? To this day, I still feel really guilty about the fact that I never said anything like to the wife.
It's also not
But it
your
was
place.
also one of those things where I'm like, it was one of those things where I'm like, they very specifically chose to go no contact with me, stop talking to me, like pushed me
But it's
out. They're
also
not gonna
it's
want to
also
hear from me. And it's also
so
not
my
like
it's at
no,
your
like
place
women
though.
solidarity. No, but women solidarity is usually I would give someone the heads up, especially if they have kids, right? However, I don't think she did not know. Like if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
Sure. You
Because it
thought
was
she you
such a
felt she knew.
kind of in the sense of like if you were with the guy, I don't think it'd be too shocking when if you found out. Like there's those people like in your world in your life that you're like, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if so and so cheated on their significant other. Just because they tend to be the person who's like really curious about stuff. Or they
So
tend to like make comments about other people all the time. Then you're like, you're overly involved in what everyone else is doing.
so this is kind of what I was battling myself to say, like whether I was going to talk about this or not.
Mhm,
Because I'm in entertainment, like
mhm,
that doesn't even shock me anymore. Like that to me is not
mm.
a like,
Right.
for lack of a better phrase. And again, I'm not condemning this or condoning it, right? I'm just saying like it doesn't phase me. It's not an arrestable offense. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like to me, when somebody goes like, "Oh yeah, I
You
did
don't think it's
so and so,"
damning?
to me, I don't think it's the that's it. There's no going back. There's a hey, there's definitely it's definitely a serious offense, right? If this were happening in a relationship, to me, I think it's like, well, let's talk about it. Why did it happen? When did it happen? How many times did it like that? To me, is a whole other can of worms. That again,
So
I'm
there's
not saying it's
levels.
right. I'm not yet. I definitely think there's levels, but to me, again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I hear so much of it and I see so much of
Sure.
it in entertain that I'm kind of like just it's it's kind of desensitized. I'm kind of desensitized to that. So what I
That's a bit
will
sad though,
say,
because like
it
that how
is
that's so
absolutely
prevalent in entertainment that it becomes kind of like a oh it happens kind of thing. And like,
right. And
look,
and I'm not
I
saying
have
everybody. I'm not saying
I've
everybody that I
gotten
know does
past
that.
it.
I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not saying everybody I know or every comedian or every entertainer. I'm not saying that, but it's like to give her a much different example, it's like when I tell other comedians, when I meet other comedians and I tell them that I don't drink, right? Like I don't drink.
Mhm.
There are comedians that go, "Oh, okay," and there are comedians that go, "What the fuck? You don't drink?" And so I'm not saying I'm the only comedian that doesn't drink. There are others. I have met and I've worked with other comedians who don't drink at multiple levels of
Mhm.
fame, by the way, multiple levels of success, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not like, oh my god, Neri's the only one, but
Mhm.
it's definitely not like you know what I mean? So it's not that every comedian drinks or does drugs, but it's also not the norm for every comedian not to either drink or do drugs. You get me? Like that's how I feel about the
Right.
whole infidelity thing. I will say this though, and this is I didn't want I so watching this the documentary, I did get to the point where, again, looking at it from my perspective as an entertainer, and I know a lot of people who do this. I know a lot of people who have done this in their lives. I don't want to say does this that this has happened to, or that
Mhm.
they have done certain things at one point in their relationship or another. Watching this documentary, it did wake me up to like, oh no, this is some serious shit because the other person really goes through some shit. Like a documentary put a light on. I'm usually looking at it from the perspective of like, oh, I know somebody who cheated on somebody,
Oh
right?
damn, dude.
But I'm not on the other perspective of you don't get to see what goes on in that relationship. You get me? Like
On my
there's
side,
there
I've seen more of the other side. Like I've
right,
seen more of the side of the person who got cheated on.
but you've been there too. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
you've
yeah,
been
and
there
I've
too. Yeah,
experienced
yeah.
it. I've I've done both. Like
I
I have
technically
openly
have,
said
by the
that
way.
I've had a relationship in the past where I've had like outside
Sure.
interaction with someone and then fucking cut it off and nipped it off, like, and cut it
Right.
off and stuff. That's so I can refocus my energy on said relationship. And like it ate away at me. Like I could not in my head imagine ever getting to the place where I could be okay with it. Like to this day, I still feel guilty about something that happened ages upon ages upon ages upon ages upon ages ago. And that like I live with the guilt my entire life. And I was just like, well, that's something I'm gonna have to live with forever, to not let it weigh on the other person and affect them forever.
Sure.
So like I'll carry that because it was my action. But a lot of people don't do that shit and they just kind of keep it going. Because for me, it
Sure.
literally was a one-time thing.
Sure.
But like I know so many people who have had to live through, I think it's the consistent lying, the consistent ability to be able to look someone's face and be like, you know who, like, I don't know. I think that's why I think it's weird how even in my life when I fucked up, it made me that much more staunchly like firm in my beliefs of like lying by omission is still lying, this, that, da, da, da. Like I made me even more kind of black and white because I was
Sure.
like fucked. And like there's too many people who kind of
Meanwhile, I'm here like, do you believe in Santa?
like you're like comfortable
That's
living
not
in
a
gray
lie,
space.
baby. That's not a lie. Like I
Yeah.
live very comfortably in that gray space. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I totally understand. But this documentary, that's what
Yeah.
I was getting to the point. This documentary lets you see the other side. It does it. I think
Yeah.
because like every good documentary, the beginning is like the party stage. They go, this is how it started, and you know what I mean. And then the end is like, and this is how it ended, and you know, and that this is how it ended. It got real quick. Like, oh shit, that's a
Yeah.
thing.
That's
That's
so
a thing.
interesting to me that like because you've been in entertainment for so long that you've started becoming like far removed from the ramifications of what happens on the other side of things. Like because I think I've seen more stories now because like I'm inundated with stories from like moms and stuff because like
Sure,
I obviously consume more mom content now.
sure,
So
of
I see
course.
things about women who've been screwed over by their partners, da da da. Like it's had, it's caused a lot of conversations with me and David.
High waisted jeans. You see a lot of high waisted jeans. You see a lot of arts and crafts. That's in your
So
FYP.
much BOA. So much. Well, that and also insanely in-depth cheating stories and like all this
Yeah,
stuff about this stuff to the point where it's had me and David have had like it's caused conversations between us in the past of me being like, here's A, B, and C of all the things that terrify me about how locked in our lives are now. Like together. Because there is a reality of like someone I do carry like with me, shit that's happened to me in the past with others and people cheating on
of
me and da da
course.
da da.
Yeah.
And there is no such thing as going into a relationship without baggage. It's just like how you handle your baggage. So having to sit down with Dave, and thankfully the person that I am with is him, because the fact that he can actually sit down with me and be like, cool, what are the things that make you paranoid? And now like, what can we do about it? Rather than telling you not to be paranoid about that, or like, I'm better
Sure.
than that, is like, what can I do to give you security? So
It's
things
like,
like
well, never start creating and making your own shields
no
ever.
shields.
And then none whatsoever. And then yeah, this I get, that's a good thing. I guess that is, but you're right. Now that you said that, you just said that I've been in entertainment for so long. And I go, yeah, it has been so long. And I just realized September in a few months will be 21 years of me doing
Holy
stand-up.
shit, dude.
And I in September turned 43. I am almost to the point where I've been doing entertainment for half my life. Like that's a crazy,
That's
like I never, that's a
yeah.
crazy perspective because I have not. I was like, oh, I have been doing it for a long time, and then I was like, yeah, 21 years, and I'm like, wait, I'm 42. Is that half my life? Holy shit, I'm gonna be half my. It's gonna be half my life. So
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
at some point in your life, it's gonna be like you literally have been doing entertainment longer than you ever didn't.
Which would be in 2026. 2026, I
Yeah.
will be doing stand up for 23 years, and I will
Mhm.
be 45 in
It's
2026.
nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. nuts, bonkers.
It's not. Or it
Yeah,
just
but
like inherently becomes part of like who you are.
it really is. Like my daughter is 3 years old. She doesn't know a time where I was at home like all the day. Like she's a COVID
True.
baby. She's a COVID baby, and so when she was first born, for the first year and a half of her life, I was home every single day. But that
Mm.
was 2 years ago. So that, you know what
Yeah,
I
she
mean?
doesn't remember that.
She doesn't remember that in her conscious mind. Even I'm not even saying that she's gonna remember now. She's 3 years old. She's not gonna remember at 3, but of her life, she doesn't know of a time where I
Mhm.
was not traveling, where I was not a Rolling Stone type of deal.
Yeah,
So it's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. Like what you get used to, right? You're like, oh, that's yeah. My daddy's he's not
he
that
travels.
doesn't yeah. He travels. He works. He doesn't. But it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
Like
but
I
at some
was
point
like that with my.
they're gonna be at an age where you could drag them along with you in places and stuff. It's gonna
Well, that's what
be
I'm waiting. I was waiting
it'll
for
get
that.
really cool.
I was waiting for that with my oldest, and then I was like, "Hey, this year I'm gonna take you on a cruise, just me and you." And she's like, "Yeah." And then her grade slipped, and I'm like, I can't, like I, you know what I mean? I can't let
The
myself
parent
be
side
that
of you
dad.
doesn't want to.
Well, no, it's I can't, and I even had to, I have real conversations with her. And I told you, I don't lie to her. I go, look, man, I want to take you. You think I don't want to take you? I'm like, but if I take you on a cruise and you have bad grades, I'm like, and I literally say the words to her. I'm like, how can I reward bad behavior? Do you think I could reward that? Will you learn anything from that? And she herself says no. She's like, you can't do that. Like, I can't do that. If I do that, then that's what that's telling you is, yeah, your grades don't matter, that I don't care, and that whatever you do, you're gonna get rewarded regardless. And that's not the way life works. It doesn't work that way.
See, that's the interesting thing because the fact that the way you travel, the place in which you exist is considered a like destination fun place.
Sure.
Like automatically spending time with you is this reward. Whereas like I got taken around on work trips with my parents, but they weren't fucking construction. So that shit was just I'm there
Yeah.
and I exist. It wasn't like a
Welcome
treat.
to Albuquerque. Welcome to
Literally
Albuquerque.
fucking Alabama. Like literally, I'm like,
Like
cool. I'm just sitting here in St.
if you do all
Augustine.
your homework, we'll take you to the construction site in Alabama. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, how about I just don't and you guys go without me and you guys do
Yeah.
whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, I
No,
mean, it's a thing. So
anything
that's
wrong.
the thing. So yeah, but you can just get used to whatever you get used to, I guess. That's just human nature, right? We get used to whatever scenario
That just
situation we're
becomes
in.
your world.
It just
That's why I
becomes
guess
your
it
world.
doesn't shouldn't surprise people when people get people like what is it? The word is like they just become. I guess you desensitized. What you said was the best one. Like you just kind of become numb to what everyone else is kind of going through, just because you live in your own world so much that that's all you can see. Because like
I mean,
you've
it's so
seen
true. Like
maybe
it's so
people.
true. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
Go
no, I was
ahead.
saying because you've seen so many people who've been kind of the perpetrator in these scenarios and their relationships that I'm sure that you've seen some people who are actually they actually do feel bad about what they did or they have their
Sure.
own setup and situation. And so like to you, you're like, oh, well, they're working it out. So things will end up fine and will end up well. But like seeing the other end and that
Yeah.
the weight that is on the other partner who didn't do everything, like who didn't do anything wrong and just kind of they were like giving their all. Like I see that shit all the fucking time, man.
Some of them the
No,
way they
maybe not their own.
dress. Some of them the way they dress, you could just tell. You could just tell.
Oh yeah, so they
They
deserve
were
it. They deserve it.
they were asking for it, you know.
Oh,
No. I just, I feel like this is the week to say stupid misogynistic shit. I think this is the week for stupid men to say stupid things. It's such a weird time. It's such a weird time that we live in, that we are, while a lot of society has been, I could, maybe this is me being the dreamer, right? But a lot of our society is like better, like, hey man, we realize we can say these things, and we realize that those our actions have consequences, and there are a lot of like open-minded, and for lack of a better phrase, I hate using this phrase because the right has politicized this word and has weaponized it, right? But the woke,
Mhm.
right? A lot of us have woken up. A lot of us, meaning society,
I
has
will
woken
never
up.
understand how they see that as I cannot wrap my head around the fact that like they they use that phrase as if it's bad, and I'm like, the
As they
word literally
weaponize
just
it.
means awaken. Like you're awakening to the things around you. If you're
So
anti woke, you're like, no, I literally want to live in the status quo. I don't want you to mess with me. I want to stay in this little matrix world.
I said this to one time to somebody, and I somebody said I was making a joke that somebody in the audience looked like a former NFL head coach and that he got fired for being racist and sending racist emails from work, his work email, right?
Very
John Gruden.
specific word.
Jo-
Okay.
John Gruden,
Oh, I thought you.
right?
I thought you told someone in the audience that that is what they looked like.
They
Like
did. They
word for
look like
word.
the guy looked like John Gruden. And I
No,
said,
I
"Do you
know.
guys?"
But
And I said, "Do you
saying you
guys
look
know who?"
like John Gruden is very different than looking at someone in the face and being like, "You look like you would be racist." And, like,
So I
sending these
said, "Do you guys know who John Gruden is?" And then some of the audience didn't because not everybody knows about, whatever. And then I said, "Oh, he's a football coach, or he's a former football coach, and
Okay.
he got fired for this." So I explained that, right? And so after the show, everybody's laughing. We're all had a good time. The guy had a good time. I asked him, "Has anybody said this to you?" And he goes, "I get that all the time." I go, "All right, well then right? You get it. You get it. You look like I'm not saying you're racist, but I'm just saying you look like a racist. I know." That was a joke, right? He got it. He laughed. Everybody was fine. After the show, selling CDs, selling merch, blah, 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 blah. Some dude comes up to me after pretty much everybody had left, right? And now he's like, everybody's at the bar just having a drink. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Yeah, fucking John Gruden, huh, that thing." And I go, "Oh, yeah, that was a good bit. That was a good time, whatever." And he goes, "No, can you believe that guy got fired?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I could believe it. Yeah, I could believe it." So again, because I'm in a corporate setting, I know there's certain things that I could say on stage that after the show ends, I can no longer
Yeah.
partake in this. You know what I mean? I know, like, hey, danger, danger, get away from here, right? My job is on the line.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, "He's like, fucking, like, what are you woke? What are you what?" Like, he said that, and I said, "I'm. Would you rather be asleep? Like, do you want to go back to sleep? Do you rather not know?" And then he was like looking at me weird, and I was like, "Yeah, would you rather know would you rather be awake while somebody robs you so you could try to stop them, or would you rather say, 'Hey, don't wake me up. If you're gonna rob me, don't wake me up'?" And then he kind of just froze and kind of was like, "I mean, he shouldn't have got, like, they're not logically, they're not there. They just
Yeah.
refuse to accept any kind of logic. I have yet to meet one person, and again, I don't want to make this a political thing, but they politicize it. Like, I don't know how that's political. Why is that a political thing?
I don't.
I don't know
I
why
don't.
that's turned into a political thing where they're like, "Oh, being woke is on the left." And I'm like, what? Why can't people on the right wake up and be like, "Oh shit, this is wrong," or "This is
Yeah.
whatever," however you want to say it.
Like let your policies be your policies, but be aware of the
but
shit that's going on
but
around you
but be
too.
aware
Like,
of this. Yeah. But I have yet to meet somebody who's on, just for the sake of a better phrase, conservative. I have yet to meet
mhm.
somebody who's conservative and have a conversation with them, and they say the phrase or anything around the phrase as, "Oh, I never thought of it that way. Oh, that's a good point." Never once. Never
I think
once have I heard anybody say anything close to that. "That's a good point. I never thought about it that way." Usually, the closest I get to that is like, "Ah." That's the closest I get. Is
I think that
nah.
sounds more familiar.
We're like, "Nah," or "Shut up," or like, "Ah, whatever, bro. Who cares?" Like, that's the closest I get. Whatever, "who cares" means you brought up a good point, but I choose to ignore that and move on and continue with my train of thought and or logic. Like, that's the closest
I
I've ever
have been
gotten.
able to get some people to say things close to like, "Oh, I didn't know that," like before. Being like, "Oh, I hadn't heard about that
Right.
before." And that I consider that like a win at that point. If someone
That
just
that is a
acknowledges
win.
that they didn't
That is
know.
that is a
Because
win.
I'm like, "You have a seed. There is a seed in you now, and hopefully it grows." But I am not going to give myself the energy and the responsibility to keep watering this fucking ground for you. You got to figure that out on your own. Because
Preach. Yeah. So so we live in a society, right, where a lot of us
yeah.
are like, wow, a lot of us are in this like, "Oh wow, that's a good point. Oh, I did not know that." I literally had this conversation with a cousin of mine at my parents' 50th anniversary a couple of weeks ago. We were having dinner and she was telling me about, she goes, "Oh, I like sushi. I just I like it cooked." And I was like, "But isn't all sushi raw?" Like, that's what I said. I made a joke. I was like,
Mhm.
"Then that's not sushi. You just like fish. Just say you like fish, whatever." That's the joke. And then she was like, "Oh, I think sushi itself is not, doesn't have to be raw." I think there's a specific kind of sushi that's raw. And then so she's literally teaching me this. And I am, after I made a joke to make fun of her, like I'm talking about 5 seconds after I made a joke to make fun of her. I'm like, well, you don't like fucking sushi. You like she's teaching me, and I'm saying things like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, let me look that up. I'm literally looking it up, and I'm like, oh yeah. So apparently sashimi is the raw fish.
The raw
And
one.
then if it's
I think it's aburi.
so
Something like
sushi
that.
itself, the phrase sushi itself is just a way of cooking things with rice and
Yeah.
seaweed. That's it. The raw fish one is sashimi. Again, as she's
Sashimi,
telling
yeah.
me this, after 2 seconds after I made fun of her, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't really? Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Oh, wait a minute. And let me look it up. And I pulled it up. I go, fuck yeah, that's a good point. I didn't know that. So now I know that. But I've never, you know what I mean? So we live in a society where a lot of people are doing these kind of things and logics. Again, this is normal human behavior, I think. And then simultaneously in our society, we have somebody speaking at a commencement fucking college saying crazy shit like,
oh, good. We are going to talk about it.
oh, good. I know that you guys are here and you guys just graduated. I know there's a lot of women in this audience and you guys just graduated and you guys spent, 4, 6, 8 years to graduate with a degree.
And you're in debt now for it.
And you're in debt now, but nothing is going to make you feel better than when you become a homemaker. I'm like, what now?
Yes.
What now?
And it's that
Like-
it's that ever shifting post of like, because look, don't get me wrong, I'm technically, you would call me a stay-at-home mom right now. I have been for the last couple years. I have nothing fucking against however people want to live their lives. I like everyone to have their choice.
So
However,
this is wait. This is where the right is twisting it and saying like there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. And it's like nobody's saying that there's anything wrong with
no one's
stay-at-home
ever
mom.
said that. Yeah.
What he was saying and what we are condemning are his words of condemning working moms. And therein lies the difference. Like my wife is literally, she has said those words to me that he says. She has told me when we had one kid and we wanted a second kid, she says, I feel like God put me on earth to be a mom. I feel like that's my that's my purpose, is to be a mom. Great. But she will be the one to tell you as well. Yeah, but that's my choice. That's not somebody else's choice, and that's nobody else to tell me that if I do go to work, all of a sudden I'm not as good of a mom, and I don't deserve to go to work. Like,
Exactly.
That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk.
Exactly. You got to be whatever mom you need to be at a given moment. Like,
or if you don't want to be a mom, you don't have to be a mom.
Exactly.
Or that.
Oh
There's also women who don't want to be moms. Yeah.
The amount of child-free friends I have who are like want to be like child-free by choice, who are so used to people like telling them the phrase like, oh, well, you'll change your mind. Oh, it's just natural that you're going to want to change your mind, or like acting like it's an automatic thing. And I'm like, dude, it's a big fucking decision deciding to like pop out human life and then commit yourself to it. And I don't think I think it has, I don't know. It's that thing again too, where I am more actively pro-choice now in my life ever since I've actually had children. I am much more like, not everyone should do this. If you don't want to fucking do this, don't do it. If you're not gonna fully 100% dive into this shit, then you shouldn't do it. Not because you don't do it because you think you should. Like, that makes no sense. But anyways, like the way this guy was going on, and like to me, it's also really frustrating the ever moving goalposts that like women have to go through as well, where he's like, cool, you just did this whole degree, but also here's this other thing you should do. Like, here's this other thing that's actually going to bring you happiness.
Yeah, that's the part that bothers. That's the part that bothers me, is the phrasing of you won't be happy until this happens. Yeah. You won't truly be happy, and it's like, dude, I mean, what are you fucking talking about? What are you fucking talking about? What in the Handmaid's Tale are you saying? This is bonkers.
I don't know. My cousin, who's constantly traveling to Bimini every other fucking weekend and has the expendable cash to be able to go on trips with her friends and have her own business, looks plenty fucking happy to me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Trust me. Every year we do our taxes, and I'm like, I made that much. Where the fuck did that money go? And then you look at your 3 kids, and you go, oh yeah, you fucking
Yeah,
assholes.
right.
Okay, these assholes. Okay, I got it.
Like, oh,
I
there it
got
is.
it.
There it is.
There it is. There it is. Right. So I get.
Yeah, we have.
I, I don't have a lot of childish friends. I think Mike would be a childish friend of mine.
Mhm,
Um, and then Missy is a childish friend of mine. I
mhm,
don't have a lot in my circle. I know a lot of people. Most people I know have kids in some extent, to some extent, whether they're step kids or bonus kids, whatever they're called now. But it's weird. It's yeah, I don't have a lot of those. I don't have a lot of those. In fact, one of them few that I had just became a mom like 3 months ago.
oh,
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's one
you're
less
like one
childless
down, one
friend.
less.
one, yeah, I think Mike is gonna be the last one standing. Got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
he
No, he's like,
only
no, no,
because
no.
he,
Seriously.
but no, well, he surgically he took medical precautions for that.
Yeah, yeah.
He went to that extent. So
Oh no, no, yeah. He went that extra step of like, no, but for real.
no, but
Not gonna
for
happen.
real, fr
Yeah.
fr. Yeah, we live in this world where it's just bonkers. It's I don't know. I don't know. The Diddy thing came out. Did you see Diddy's apology video?
I couldn't even stomach it, to be honest. I started watching it and I was just like,
It's
any
literally
single
40
time
seconds.
nowadays
It's
when
like such a
I couldn't.
short video. It's such a short video. And in that short amount of time, you go, oh man, this is a bad you. This is like I went immediately. I've only seen it once, but when he started apologizing, first 10 seconds, I go, this is not a good video. You're full of shit. And then I said, you're full of shit. Like this was all within 10 seconds. You're full of shit. Oh, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. And then it went to, dude, your PR team needs to get fired. You This is
Mhm.
not good. This is not
Then and
helping you
also
at
like,
all.
how many recent celebrity apologies have you seen where someone who usually looks all good and flashy and is like all in these nice areas, da, 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 all of a sudden puts their camera at an exact angle so that things you don't see the background behind them. You can't see anything nice, just a normal backdrop. They're gonna be
Yeah.
in a regular t-shirt. Like he's like, I'm one of you.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am normal.
I'm completely normal. This has happens. Like dude, that video was really difficult to watch. Not his apology. I'm talking about the actual video of him in the elevator of the elevator video. That was such a
Oh,
difficult thing to
bro.
watch. And I know I'm speaking from the dumb male perspective, right? Because
Mhm.
my lack of experience in this topic. I've never experienced that. I've never seen that in
Mm.
person. And my only exposure to that has been from Hollywood, has been in movies and like I haven't seen that. So
Oh wow.
my exposure of it in real life has only been from these types of videos. And I say that talking about Ray Rice, the football player who beat up his wife in the elevator. Now Diddy, like all of these kinds of videos these are the only my only expo as a man. I'm very much aware of I've not been exposed to that type of behavior from
Mm.
humans. And it's very like jarring. It's very like, whoa, what the fuck? It's kind of like it really makes you look at women and be like, you guys go through this shit all that time. Like this is
I
what you guys
know.
gotta fucking like I don't understand. Remember years ago when I used to have this conversation with you about like, why is it that when a woman tells a guy, hey, I was masturbating to you last night, it's a compliment, but when a guy does it, it's not a compliment. Remember that conversation?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think for the audience who doesn't know that conversation, that was a real thing. I was like, if a woman tells me it's not a sexual thing, a woman tells me that she thought about me during masturbation, I wouldn't immediately be like, okay, I'm turned on. I'd be like, oh, thank you. I would find that as a compliment. I find that complimentary. And it wasn't until like maybe the fourth time you and I had this conversation that you were like, I think the difference is that men can physically do something about it at that moment. Like they could approach you as a woman, and I'm like, oh, because I'm a fucking guy, I don't think that. I go, oh,
Mhm.
that would be scary. That would be kind of weird,
Yeah.
right? That would be kind of
Yeah.
weird. And I say all of this to bring up the I'm a dumb guy thing, and my exposure to this is not a lot. I don't have a lot of exposure to this, but there is now a new trend going on on the internet of women
Mm.
asking, "Would you rather, if you're going
Mhm.
hiking, would you rather encounter a man that you don't know or a bear?" And most
Bear.
women
Every fucking time.
And most women say
Bear.
that. Most women say, I would rather encounter. Now, mind you, the question isn't which would you rather be attacked by? It isn't
Mhm.
automatic
Which
that
would
you're
you
going to
rather
be
come across?
attacked. Which would you rather, if you're on a hike, which would you rather come across? Would you rather come across a man or a bear? And the fact that so many women are saying bear, mind you, bear is my favorite animal. So if I was asked a question, I'd be like, I would want to see a bear. That would be cool, right? Because I'm stupid. But I'm not a woman, so I would never understand like the logic of like, wow, you really that's crazy. Like a bear. Like I've seen videos of bear attacks.
But
I'm
the
sad
thing
to
is, like,
say I've seen more videos of bear attacks than domestic violence. But and technically I'm a survivor of domestic violence. FYI. Not joking, no joke behind that. There's no punchline behind that. I had a relationship with a girl that we dated for a
right.
long time, and it was a very bad situation for everybody, but physically it was a bad situation for me.
Mhm.
But I will say a bear is still a fucking bear, right? That's I find it I find when I heard about that topic, I was very shocked. And it takes a lot to shock me. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, you'd rather encounter a fucking bear in the wilderness than a man? Wow. That's fucking scary, right? That's scary for the woman. Like you live in this world where you know that you would rather encounter a bear. Like you just said it right now. You're like,
The amount of times in my life where I have walked to my car and put my keys through each knuckle, just in case. I walk around with a lot of keys, not because I need them all. I don't actually need all the keys that I have, but I'm gonna fucking have them. And I even have them
because of
on
the
the length thing now, so I
because
can swing.
because of the bears.
Yes, because of the
Because of the
rampant bear
bear.
attacks.
The random, yes,
The
just
rampant bear
random.
attacks on Miami Beach.
Well, you live in Australia now. That's kind of like
Even what?
fucking
Like, I would have kangaroos, maybe.
kangaroos will fuck you up, man.
It would really fuck you up, though. A
Cag-
kangaroo, that would be.
kangaroos, dude. There is
But I've
so many
encountered,
things.
see, I have been in a hike at night, walking through the woods and encountered a kangaroo. And you know what? Wasn't as scary as if I would have run into a man. Even
That's
though
like
kangaroos
that's
terrified in the dark.
coming from you. That's a big deal because you live in Australia, and Australia is the land of things that will kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you still
Yeah.
would
So you know
rather
what?
not encounter a man.
Less likely that it'd be a person. Less likely that it'd be a person. Does it still
That's
happen? Yes. It's
wild.
actually still a big problem everywhere. Every fucking where. But it's
That's wild.
you grow up checking in with your girlfriends, letting everyone know where you're at, putting keys between your fingers. It's all very, I think it's just universally exhausting to have
Yeah.
your head on a swivel at all fucking times. And I have been in those situations where I've been with guys who I should be able to trust with like my mind and my body and everything like that. But the moment things get really heated or really tense, all of a sudden they use said size and body to intimidate me, to get me into a place where they want me to go.
Oof.
And that's why I would rather deal with like how the fuck do I get out of this scenario with a bear than with a guy who would do much more. Hell, this week that the whole bear versus man thing came out, I also heard about a story about like it was like 2 or 3 guys who I don't want to get this in trouble with YouTube. So who are worded a monitor lizard.
Who are worded. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
A
monitored
monitor
lizard.
lizard. Yes. Look up what a monitor lizard is.
Wait,
But
what do you
like,
mean a
yeah,
monitor lizard? Like an actual lizard?
yeah, yes.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
Yeah. Like the amount of
Monitor lizard. Okay. I'm
lizard.
looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I'm trying to see if I can pull up the story. So back in March of 2022, 4 men were arrested for gang R-wording, killing, and then eating a monitored lizard.
That is.
This is why we're scared. This is why
Yeah.
we walk around scared. Not to mention all the horrible things that have happened to actual humans, but like if it's even a lizard, I can't. We hear about this. Are you looking it up now?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to share it now. I don't know what's happening why it won't let me share it, but I'm trying to share what a monitor lizard is.
Are you trying to figure out the
Uh,
logistics?
I'm just looking up the logistics of how to share this on the screen and with my limited Wi-Fi
Yeah,
is all I'm trying to do.
I don't get it. And like that's not the only animal this has happened to, mind you.
But I
It
mean, that's
happens to
so
like
crazy. Like,
monkeys
I
and
wish I could put this. I wish I was doing this right. And I say this, like, this is the one time I need a mic. We need Mike.
not when
I
we were
can't do
having the
it.
whole conversation about being child free and not child free, or like any of the things that are relevant to his interests.
Yeah, but this
You can
this
say
is on
it.
a technical. This is on a technical aspect. I needed him for this more so than anything else.
All right. Well, if you're listening to
Yeah,
this, look up a monitored lizard, go ew,
yeah,
and just be like disturbed by the reality of life.
for real. Um,
Mm,
monitor lizard.
yeah. I have to honestly say, ever since this became kind of a bit of a topic of conversation, I want to say it's been on my For You page, I want to say the last like 2 weeks or something. The amount of comments that I see on videos regularly that are just women being like, the bear every time. Like, they just
Every
reference a bear in their comments. Like, I'm like, I fucking get it. I fucking get it.
Yeah, like that. I mean, as a man, that made me sad. It made me
Yeah,
sad
I would
for it made
imagine.
me sad. It made me sad for women. It woke me up to. I know Mike and I have said this before, where we like, Mike gave a good example of his now wife walking from the train station, and he was like, "Yeah, I was just waiting for you to get home." And she's like, "Yeah, but I was walking by myself from the train station," and he was like, "Oh, right," like he just did it because we're
Mm,
guys. We don't think that we're just, oh, right. So that's the kind of realization that I was having with this topic. I was like, oh, right, that makes sense that you would be scared. You would much rather have a bear. Also, that's so sad that we live in a society where, or I guess we live in a world, right? Because this
mhm.
isn't a Miami topic. This is like a global
Yeah,
worldwide internet topic.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty wild. Uh,
Well, that's why I think that these kind of things that start off as memes and jokes and things that go online, I actually do appreciate when this stuff floats around because of things like that, because of the fact that it does open the eyes of other people who are willing to have their eyes open. And then for the other people, hopefully little seeds get planted. And then the other ones, they go on stage and say very ill-timed commencement speeches. Wearing a
Um,
cheetah.
uh,
Oh, but did
wha-
you also hear about him? Oh, going back to this bitch though. Did you also hear the little tidbit where allegedly, lady doth persets too much because so and so is also hooked up with dudes in the past. He was like all anti-LGBTQ and during his like speech and shit like that, but apparently he used to
can you
hook up with a male
repeat?
cheerleader.
Oh, I didn't know all that. I didn't
Allegedly.
know. Allegedly. I
I
mean,
will say it. I will say allegedly.
is that? I mean, we have to. I think say
I think
allegedly.
we have to
Hold on.
until proven otherwise. But it's just one of the things where like that kind of shit enrages me when someone just goes like really anti a certain stance and then you find out that like, bitch, you've been there.
Yeah.
Are you still trying to
Again,
find
it's
a way
one
to
of
share the
those.
lizard?
Yes and no. Yeah. The reason I can't find the lizard is the same reason I can't get out of that same screen is because my settings are so big because I'm blind that the button that I have to
Oh,
press is all the
buddy.
way at the bottom of the screen and I can't get out of that small window. So it's now I've gotten into this place where I'm like I can't share the lizard and I can't get out of that window where it's asking me do I want to share the lizard because of the same reason that I can't share the lizard. So it's very awkward and very like now I'm just like, oh, okay.
Are you
Hold
just
on.
staring at a lizard now?
No, I'm just staring at a screen that's asking me if I want to share a lizard. And I'm just like, no, not only do I not want to share a lizard, I want to get out of this fucking screen. And they're like, nah, you're in it now.
Representative. That just
Hold
reminds me
on.
of that. Just like the old people on the phone being like, representative.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. That's exactly what that fuck this. Yes. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
So we are hold on. Okay.
Are you okay?
I got it.
You
No,
got away
that's
from
not
it, or you figured out how to do it?
I figured out how to do it now.
Look.
So
We're learning things.
it's not that, you know what? It wasn't so much a learning thing, it was a settings issue.
Mm-hmm. I'm just
Right?
saying.
So this
It kind of goes with the growth thing. I'm just trying to tie it back to growth of like we're learning new things.
So this is a monitor lizard. Are you seeing this now?
No.
Okay, that's just my Wi-Fi because it's gonna show up. I promise you, it's gonna show up.
Okay.
It's gonna show up
Like when we're done recording. it'll
when we're
pop
done
up.
recording. It's gonna say shit. It's gonna say things like, right? Is that the monitor lizard now? Are you seeing a monitor lizard now?
I'm
can't
just
even
seeing
say that 2
Ocean
times
Drive.
fast.
I'm seeing the
Oh
background.
my god. Oh my god. This is so annoying. Mike, where are you? I don't know how to rotate a PDF.
You just took my face away.
I know. I'm not trying to.
We need Mike. I need a
We
grown
need
up.
Mike so much. No, that's not what I want. Son
Oh,
of
I
a
like your little pun on the thing. I for the first time I'm seeing that you wrote down kicker fumbles.
Oh, that wasn't me. That
I
was Mike.
appreciate
I don't do stupid
Oh.
puns. I can't.
I
I,
like
I,
puns.
I forget about credit. I don't want to take responsibility for that joke. I don't want to take responsibility for that. Hold on. Camera slot. No.
No, it's there. It's on. I see it. Monitor lizard. Look,
You
we
see it
finally
now?
got there.
Okay.
Yes, we got there in the end.
Okay.
I mean, it's the darkest reason why we're sharing the way this damn lizard looks, but well, now I want to see that Komodo dragon versus monitor lizard, the clash of reptilian titans. I mean, that sounds interesting. But yes, this right here is what 3 men decided to do.
Against one? Was it against one? Was it a female lizard?
Yes. Well, I don't know if that's relevant.
You know how guys are. You know how guys are like, was it Elisa's chick? It's like that's the furthest thing from what's important. That's the furthest thing from what's important.
Like, are you worried that this is now gay?
Yes.
On top of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing is banging a lizard, another thing is banging a guy lizard, bro. I want to bang a guy lizard.
Oh my god, this world is so dark.
Wouldn't it be crazy if that's what they cared about? Like, hey, it was a girl lizard, all right? All right, as long as it was a girl lizard. It's like, what? That's where you draw the line? Freaks.
It's a very fucked line.
Yeah, very much so. So anyway, yeah, the whole bear thing made me sad for women. It made me sad for women. It made me sad for society. It made me sad for guys. I'm like, I feel bad for my son who's gonna have to live in a world where women are gonna be afraid of him because he's a guy. And well understood. Like it's understood. Like it's not like blaming women. It's like I just feel bad for the women who have to live in the world that they're more scared of men than they are of bears. And I feel bad for the guys such as my son or any good guy who has to live in a world where women are more cautious of them than they are of bears. But it's understood why they are that way because
I know. I try to think all the time about like in what way can I fairly raise both my kids the same, right? But still make my son conscious of the things that are happening around him. And I know I can't. So for me, it's one of the things where I don't want to single him out, but I also kind of want my attempt at the very least is wanting to raise him just being aware of how other people can feel,
Right. Well, that in
what we can
itself,
do to make other people comfortable.
so that in itself is very different than raising them, your kids the same. And I will say that, so on a much broader scale, I will
Mm,
say as a parent, even having two children of the same gender, there's no way of raising two children the same way. They're going because
sure.
there's going to be different variables. Is this on? It's still on, right? You could still hear me.
Yeah, still honestly here.
Just the light stopped, and I was like, no. Um, so there's so many different variables, right? Where you live, the
Mhm.
time, what's going on in the world at the time that you were raising one, at the age of the, so it's very different.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
So if they're the same gender, I think it's very difficult, if not impossible, to raise two children the same. Now when you introduce the fact that it's a different gender, it's a very different world for them, right? And
Yeah.
like again, a good parent like you are just saying, you would hope to be able to teach your son, hey, this is what women go through, so be conscious of that. But they're still not going to go through it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, as much as I could try to empathize, and I do empathize with whatever group you are part of and whatever struggle you personally are going through. I As much as I can empathize, I'm still not in that same struggle. I don't know what it's like. You know what I mean? I'm 42 years old and I'm just learning that women feel safer around bears than they would around me if they didn't know me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, and I'd like to think that I'm an empathetic person, but even me, I'm like, what? You'd feel safer around a bear, and then when you, such as a woman, starts talking to me, telling me why, I go, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, you should go with a bear. You should definitely go with the bear. That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because
it's
the
just
whole point
hard to
is
do
that
that
like
with kids.
yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Like I want to empower my girl, and as much as I also still want to empower my son while also making him aware of like all these he's
You also want
automatically
to
got
you
benefits.
yeah, like you want to empower him, but you also want to bring him back down so that he doesn't have too much power and feel entitled. Like
Yeah,
there's
I
that
don't want him
balance,
feeling
right?
entitled.
You're
It
right.
is. It's the
There's that
balance,
balance.
especially 'cause
There's that balance. It's
it
like, hey,
is.
girl, you can do whatever you want. And then you look at your son and you're just like, you shouldn't, let other people do other shit too. Because you're as a fair skinned male, you're gonna have the one up on this one. So just fucking simmer
Yeah,
down a little bit.
like son, my love, you got your dad's coloring. There's gonna be certain
Yeah.
advantages automatically.
Well, I love you, but even your coloring, he would have a
Oh yeah,
fair
yeah,
he would have a fair up advantage
yeah,
on
yeah.
that. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten really like pale since I've moved here.
which is
Weird.
closer, which is
I don't know
weirder
how
because
funny it is.
isn't it always sunny and aren't you closer to the sun?
Yes, but I'm with a man who sunburns if he thinks about the sun. So like I never go into it. So all of a sudden
My
like it makes me sit there and be like, because I've seen like, all my self-perception in my head plus every photo of me growing up ever. And then I look at myself now and I'm like, is this my default color? Is
Yeah,
this
no, this is I also deal with this as well because I don't like the sun only because I don't like being hot. That's it, right? Which is that's just the whole point of the sun is to have heat, right? So I don't like feeling hot. So I try to avoid the sun. The problem with that is that when I do so for an extended period of time, I'm talking about over a year, I get more and more fair skin, right? Then I
Mhm.
go on stage and be like, Latinos are crazy, huh? And then they're like, And then I see audience members go like, I don't think he can say that joke. And I'm like, oh no, I've lost my superpower. I've lost my superpower. So then I have to go in the sun for like an hour. And then I'm like, I'm good for another year. And then I'm good for another year. But in that hour, like it's like, oh fuck. I've done it before. I've done it in the last couple of years where I'll go in the sun for an hour and I'm literally thinking like, am I dark enough to make the jokes that I want to make now? Like that's all I wanted. Like because I want to get back my regular color. Look, I'm on a cruise. I'm on a cruise right now. My wife is with me, right? Which is a rarity. She doesn't come on cruises. She's been sunbathing for 2 days. God bless her because she's dying to get color. And I go out there for 15 minutes and she goes, I hate you. And I'm like, I'm in the shade. Like I'm literally hiding in the shade with an umbrella. And she's like looking for the sun. Like, please, sun, come get me. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Well, that's
know.
me with any of my friends here. Like, cause like, mind you, the sun here is really fucking powerful. I will
Yeah,
admit
yes,
that.
yeah.
That it's
That
intense as
one,
fuck.
that one day I was there. It was that one afternoon that I was there. I was like, yeah, this sun ain't no fucking joke here, man. Just all right.
No, it's like right here. It's like right on your face. It's like
Yeah,
hello.
yeah.
Who is it? Godfrey, I think it was. It was like there was a certain comedian back in the day who used to have a joke where like in Africa, like it was he was talking like the sun in Africa versus the sun in other places where he's like very much like, hello, I am the sun. I am
Oh,
like
that
his
sounds like
voice,
Godfrey.
yeah, his son, like that voice of him being like, hello, I am the sun, lives in my head for the rest
Mhm,
of my fucking life. And I
yeah.
hear it every time I step out the fucking door when it's
Well,
summer here.
he's from Africa, right? He's African,
Mhm.
not African American. He's from Africa, and he talks about in his act. He talks about that his dad sounds just like the Lion King, and so when his dad calls him and leaves him a voicemail, he's like, "My son, remember to pick me up at the airport." And it's like this whole thing. And he does, but he is really Godfrey's super funny, but he's also super talented in voices, and he can do and
Yeah, yeah,
sounds just like the Lion King in his act. And you go,
yeah,
holy shit, that is awesome. Yeah, it's great. So the moment
yeah.
you said, "Hello, I am the son," I'm like, I just picture
Yeah,
Godfrey doing it, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, that sounds
yeah,
like him. That sounds like Godfrey.
yeah. Because of the beat,
Yeah,
like it lives in my head. Like, yeah, there's certain comedians that like the moment you say one little thing, I'm like, I will have that in my file
yeah.
forever now.
There's a lot of comedians that my wife and I have running jokes with where we talk about this. Like there Tommy Davidson has a joke about how there are some women, and I think the group he said was Indian women. Well,
Mhm,
they'll go up to a random person and tell them exactly how they feel, right? And the example he gave is of he didn't call it a Karen, but of a Karen bitching and
mhm.
complaining at at the supermarket. And then an Indian woman be like, they don't know your whole life. They know you bitch. They don't know your whole life. They know you bitch. And my wife and I, we heard that 15 years ago. And we have still to this day, every time we see some lady acting up or somebody going crazy in public, they're like, they don't know your whole life. They know you bitch. They don't know you. And we just running joke, running like that. We've taken
Yeah.
that joke for 15 years and we're like using it in our day-to-day life all the time.
Isn't it kind of cool to think that like that could be you for someone else? There's like a random person who's watched you in the past that there's something you said, a throwaway, it could even be not one of your major jokes, but a throwaway thing you said that just the way you said it becomes a reference for them and their friend group who are on the cruise for like the rest of their fucking lives.
I hope so. I do get, and it's happened less now because I don't do the joke on ships anymore because I only do the joke when I'm
Mhm.
selling t-shirts, and I'm not allowed to sell t-shirts on ships. But I do get a lot of people DMing me or tagging me or whatever about cupcakes. Anytime they see anything with cupcakes, they love to mention me in cupcakes. I don't mind. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It
Mhm.
is cool, whatever. But as a fat guy, I'm kind of like, no, but that okay. The optics. It's just the optics because the joke is not actually the
The
joke is not
implication.
about but because the joke is not actually about cupcakes. The joke is like I'd rather get a blowjob, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
premise. For those of you who don't, go buy the album, go listen to it. It's there, it's available. New album coming out June 17th, June
Mm.
14th. So you go there, whatever, and in my mind, I'm always like, the outsider doesn't know that. So like if you write something on my page and you said, hey, I
Mhm.
saw these cupcakes and I thought of you, all the third party is seeing is, hey, fat guy, I saw these cupcakes and I thought of you, right? They're not understanding because if you haven't heard the joke, they're not understanding that, oh, it's funny because I'm equating blowjobs to cupcakes. They're not
Yeah.
understanding that. They don't understand that part. So it's just the optics of it look a little weird, right?
Yeah,
And it's only
but I
because
think
I'm
that's
fat.
also I
Because if
think
I
that's
wasn't
also
fat,
the side of you that grew no, that's the side of you who grew up getting used to being, like, fat for a period of your time because like, now you're not, and
I'm
so if
still
people
fat.
share
Like
it
I'm still fat. I'm not overly obese like I was. I get it. I've lost weight and I'm proud of my weight loss. I get it. And I'm still going. I'm still trying to lose more weight. And I'm actively, because I had gained 27 pounds back and I'm actively now like lost 14
and
pounds. So like I'm actively, so now I'm back on the other swing. So I get it. I'm not as fat as I used to be. I understand. But I'm also like not skinny by any stretch of the imagination. But it's
but
just
to you, you're like, the
optically is
implication, other people are like, "He must like cupcakes."
yeah, he must love me. This guy loves cupcake. And I'm like, no, it's a blowjob joke. It's really it's a
I
euphemism for
love
blowjob.
blowjobs.
It's
I
a,
need you to
it's like
know.
like I really need to know. But you can't just write that on somebody's fucking page and be like, hey, I thought of blowjobs and I thought of you. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That would be weird, right? That would be weird.
See,
I know.
but see how that would be weird? Do you see how that would be weird?
Well, no, it would be weird optically for the third person, for the third party. That would be
Okay.
weird.
For you, you'd
I,
be
I, I'm fine with the cupcake. I'm fine with it. I'm like, I get it. I understand. I'm just thinking about it optically for the person who doesn't know the bit, who doesn't know the joke.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Maybe they went to 5 of my shows on ships, but they were all on ships, so they didn't hear the cupcake joke. So now
Yeah.
they're like, what? Oh, is it because he's fat? Like that's a whole thing. You get me? So I'm thinking about that. It doesn't bother me personally. I'm always like, I wonder how other people see this. I wonder how other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
it's a weird thing. Like somebody bought me a cupcake. I ran into this page the other day, this post the other day for my birthday. I was doing a show, and they
Mhm.
saw the show, and then they went out and they bought me a cupcake, and they came back to the show, and they took a picture with me, and I was like, oh man, these are people really nice, whatever, blah blah. But I was also super fat back then. So all they're seeing is like these ladies came to me and they gave me a cupcake. It's so nice. I love it. And it's just like, oh no. But if you don't know the joke, that's just what it looks like now. That's weird.
Well, they could have just been nice and like
no, those
make
women
your
were
birthday.
nice. Those women were nice.
Yeah.
They bought me it was a double
what I'm
entendre.
saying-
That
what I'm
those
saying
I'm
is
talking
that
about. I'm just talking about the third person. The third person is looking at it like, oh, they bought him a cupcake because he's fat. And you know what I mean? It's like, no.
But I think that's
'cause
the
of a
side of
joke.
you that grew up like thinking that, perceiving that. You know what I mean? Like you have that in your head. That's like your voice in your head. And like,
Sure, but if
it's
I'm thinking of it,
interesting that you
it's
chose
if
to
I'm
hear it.
thinking of it, there's other people thinking of it.
Oh,
There's
there
other
might be a
people thinking
dickhead
of
or
it.
two who thinks of it, but like
Yeah,
other people
I'm
might just
just
be
like-
like, "It's his birthday. It's a cupcake." They're not gonna buy him a whole ass cake. It was
I
nice
don't know,
enough
like
without buying you a whole ass cake.
correct. I'm fine. I like the idea of I like the idea of somebody using one of my bits as like it's a running joke in their life now. Like I'm fine with
Yeah.
that. Like I would like that. Like again, we all strive for that, right? Like, but you just never know what it's gonna be. You never know if it's ever gonna or whatever it's gonna be. But my wife and I do that with other comedians. We do that with other comedians who are not famous. Who are like, there's a comedian AJ Jamal who's super funny, super,
Mhm.
and he was on a ship one time and he talked about the showers and he was just like, I love my shower. Like he was just like this, and that phrasing and the way he said it, my wife and
Yeah.
I to this day randomly will be like, hey, what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna go in the shower, and then we'll just look at each other and be like, I love my shower. Like it's just a running joke, man. We use that
Yeah.
forever. Oh,
Yeah, but that's what I'm
I
saying.
get
Like that to me is actually like kind of the cooler bits is you knowing that like it's not even that the cupcake bit itself, but it's just maybe the inflection and the intonation of how you said a line
yeah,
or like
yeah.
a thing just lives on forever with other people. Like that's kind of cool. Like
Kinda
knowing
cool.
that.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of kind of cool, have you seen X-Men 97? I'm assuming no, because you're a
I'm
mom.
gonna be honest. I started watching a bit of the first episode and I had a lot of notes.
Okay.
So I
So
have not.
I will
been
say this.
watching it.
I started watching. So when X-Men 97 first
I was
came
told
out,
it gets better. I was told it gets better. I wasn't
when
crazy about the
X-Men
first episode.
when X-Men 97 first came out,
Mhm.
I said to myself, I'm gonna start watching the original because just to like when they announced X-Men 97, I'm gonna start watching the original
Okay,
because it's been 30 years and I haven't seen this shit. So I
Mm-hmm.
started watching the original, and the original is very difficult to watch now. It's a hard watch
Sure.
because I, for whatever reason, don't fall into the nostalgia trap. I am now looking at it as I shouldn't be. I'm not children. This TV show was made for children, right? 30 years ago. I was a child 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I thought this was the best thing since sliced bread. I'm watching
Mhm.
this now, and I'm talking about the original X-Men animated series, and I'm like, this writing is fucking rough, dude. The writing is rough. It's very difficult. I got so annoyed at the fact that they kept saying everybody says each other's name at the beginning of
Oh my
every
God.
fucking sentence. Wolverine, what are you doing?
Cyclops, what are you doing? And then like every line it's like this. It's like, dude, we know who you're talking to. You
But
don't
that's
have
also
to
how
say.
like, that's also how we used to play. Like I wondered, did we used to play that way when we were kids because that's how they talked on the shows, or was it the other way around where they're like kids have to say
No,
things all the
but
time? So, like you have
no,
to
but
simplify it
when
for
we're
them.
play, but when we're playing, right? Like if you and I are playing X-Men, I have to remind you that I'm Wolverine because you can't visibly see that I'm Wolverine, right? I don't look like Wolverine, so I got to remind you that I'm Wolverine. So then but the writing is really rough, dude. It's really
Yeah, I'm sure.
the fact that Wolverine takes out his claws 87 times every episode is beyond boring to me. It gets so boring. But again, this was made for children. This is not made for adults. So me seeing Wolverine take out his claws every 5 seconds, as a kid, I was like, oh, the claws. But as an
Yeah.
adult, I'm like, why'd you put him back in? You were in the middle of a fight. Why? Like,
Yeah.
it's a weird
just
thing.
keep 'em out.
There's
It's
an
not
episode where
efficient.
this is an episode where he takes out his claws to start a fight, right? Then somebody throws a chair. Then they cut to away from him, like they pan over to the right, and they show Storm. Storm does something. They pan back to Wolverine. He now takes out his claws again, and I'm like, why did you put them back in? You were in the middle of the fight. Presumably, when that camera panned over to Storm, you were still fucking fighting. What happened? Why'd you take
He
it?
relaxed for a second.
He was like, "Oh, he's off. I'm off camera. I'm not fighting off camera. Like, what the fuck are you doing? What is that?" So I went through that. So I watched like 2 seasons of the original, and I just couldn't
That's a
anymore.
lot
I'm
of
like,
commitment to that.
and I just couldn't anymore. I fucking couldn't anymore. I'm like, I'm fucking done, dude. I don't want to do this anymore. It just didn't age well for me. I love this show. I don't want to speak ill of it. It's just not made for me because I'm fucking 42 now. So it's not made for me. Okay. I love X-Men and I love the X-Men comics, but this is not made for me. So I just chalked it up as that. Then X-Men 97 finally came out. Knowing you know how I am, to the listener, I am a binge guy. I refuse to watch week to week because that's for fucking suckers, right? I think that's dumb. So I waited for the whole show to come out, and then I watched it. And I watched the first episode, and in the first episode, I was like, "Wow, this is not good. This is a tough watch. This is a tough watch. This is
I
okay.
have to give it another shot.
This is a tough watch." And then the last 5 seconds of the episode, I was like, "Huh, I'm interested in episode 2. Let's see what happens."
Right.
And let's see what happens. So the very last 5 seconds, maybe 20 seconds of episode 1 intrigued me enough to keep watching for episode 2. And then shit took off. And then I'm like, okay, I get it. All right. Oh, they did that now. What? Who's hooking up with who? And then I became a fucking fan. And then, and then I was texting Will Watkins because he was like, hey, whatever, like during like I think right before the last episode aired, he was about to say something to me that I'm like, hey, I haven't seen a single minute of it, so don't fucking spoil shit for me. And he goes, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, I haven't seen a single minute of it, so just letting you know. And he's like, oh, but this is all over the internet. I'm like, it's all over your internet. My internet is different than your internet. My internet is fully aware that I haven't watched a single episode, so leave me the fuck alone. Whatever. And we laughed and we joked around. Then I started watching it when all episodes were already out, and then I started like live texting him every episode. Oh, bro, whoa, who's hooking up with who? And I started doing that, and then he was like, oh man, just wait, and it just kept like. Then it became fun. But I agree with you. The first episode, I was also like, this is a rough watch. This is fucking rough. Yeah.
The first episode, like there was. So I have a really horrible tendency. Like I've said this before on air, but that like I tend to watch things and Dave is just always sitting there waiting for me to go on a rant. So he already knows like, if my hand goes for the remote, you already see him sit back and go, okay, all right, what's coming? And the amount of times I would stop and I was like, God, you know what would be a better way for them to say this? And it's always me being like, oh, they missed the mark and they could have been this. And it was just the new character that they introduced in the first episode. I don't know if he's an important guy for the rest of the show. I assumed he was because he was doing a whole thing about introducing him. But like, it just felt like there was
you talking about the Brazilian guy?
Yeah, the Brazilian guy. Well, one I was like, "Oh, cool, Brazilian guy, cool," but it was
Hey,
his
Latino!
voice.
I'll claim him. I'll claim the Latino. I'll claim
Yeah,
the
right.
Latino.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck yeah, but like his voice acting and like the way they animated him did not fucking match.
I'm sorry.
Like it
Can you
annoyed
repeat that? The way they what?
the voice acting and the way they animated him did not match, and it would
Okay.
just drive me crazy. Where like his voice acting was like you could tell the actor was trying something, and like he was trying to be like a little chill and da-da-da, but they were like drawing him like super annoyed. Like it just made it seem as if he wasn't acting well, and it was annoying me the
I
entire
just thought the
time.
writing. I just thought the writing was too.
There was
What's the word I'm
something
looking
missing.
for? No, I don't think there was anything missing. I think there was just too much. So the writing was too. What's the word?
Expository.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the word. I'm just like, just
Yeah.
let me fucking watch what I'm watching. You don't need to explain and fucking. And here's the thing, though. They have a
Mhm.
tough. It's tough for them because there's so much information that what they're trying to do is you didn't have to watch the original series, and we're gonna catch you up. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of like information. There's a lot of exposition because they're counting on people not having watched 5 seasons 30 years ago. You
Right.
get me?
And I
So
also don't
if
know
you're
if things
familiar,
improve.
they get way better, way better, way
Okay.
better.
Because I was like, I don't know if things improve upon watching, but like I can appreciate the Wolverine from my childhood. However, hearing a character now talking the way Wolverine talks and like saying things like bub and stuff, which is a thing that no one fucking says. And even back
Canadians,
then, no one actually ever
Canadians,
said.
Canadians.
Yeah, but then they give him the fun little accent. If he's gonna do the bub, like make him sound like
But
fucking I'm gonna go to Tim
but
Hortons and shit. Like I want to hear the
he's
full thing.
Canadian.
But he doesn't. He sounds. It's just. I don't know. I feel like
Technically, he's
I was in
French
my head.
because technically he was born in Canada, but he was born in like 1812 or whatever year it was, where that it was owned by the French. So
Yeah.
technically,
Well, that's why I think
Wolverine is
also like
French.
adult me also is like, all right, let go of your whole thing for Jean Grey. She's having a fucking baby with someone. Like,
She that storyline is gonna get real good. You gonna see that
okay, good.
storyline.
Because like at the
Yeah.
beginning, it just feels a little weird. It just feels weird now. Where I'm like, you really still can't let it go, fuck, bro. Like that's just
Look,
the
I saw.
jaded
So
older,
what?
the jaded
As a
adult version of me.
so as a kid, Wolverine was my favorite character. I mean, I literally have him tattooed on me. Like Wolverine was my favorite
Right.
character. As an adult now, I'm watching this and I'm just like, I know why they did what they did in the sense of they brought back the same voice actor because they had to, right? Because Wolverine was like the fan favorite back then.
Mhm.
I wish they would not have, only
Yeah.
because to a 42-year-old ear, it's just like that's a bit too much. Everybody else doesn't sound like a cartoon. I'm fully aware that I'm
Mhm.
talking about cartoons, but nobody else in the series sounds like a caricature. You sound like a
Yeah.
caricature. So
Well, that's what
that's
I
the
mean
thing.
by like he talks like in a way that no one talks. So he still sounds very like old school cartoony. Like because
Yeah.
the sensibilities of animation have also changed
So
from when they were.
the good news about that is one, it gets better. Two, Wolverine,
Okay.
not really a major piece of the series of this season.
No?
I mean, he's in every episode, but it doesn't.
I've
It's not.
already gotten spoiled. I've already gotten spoiled with one of my characters that I really like.
Who
And
do
I was
you
like,
really
it
like?
kind of put me off. Gambit. I really like Gambit.
Oh, let me tell you something. Gambit has the best story arc of the entire series, bar none.
Okay.
And full stop. Full stop. Gambit has the best. Like you literally go, hey, bucket. I was like fucking just live tweeting
Yeah.
fucking
When I was younger, it was always like
Watkins.
Gambit, Rogue, and Storm were always like my faves.
Man, you're gonna see the storyline that Rogue and Storm have. Woo! Woo! Woo!
I'll sit down and I'll
Actually, Storm and Jean have a good one too. Storm and Jean, they have
Yeah.
they have a very sister. Hey, you're my sister. It's not. It's a very like you're my sister and you'll always be my sister. And you know,
Oh, that's great because
it's
like
a-
other
it's
media, like in movies, never show that shit.
no, it's fantastic. So there's one. Oh, I don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to tell you because there's one line between them two that you go, oh shit, that belongs on a t-shirt. But I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it for you. Because when you get
I will
it,
sit
it's
down and
gonna hit you.
I will watch it today.
I promise you that if once you get after the first episode, it gets better and better. Every episode gets better and better and better. And there's one episode where it's a half episode with a character, and you kind of feel like, well, this half episode is a little weird, right? But it's important for the growth of that
Finale.
character, for the growth of that
Okay.
character throughout the rest of the series. And it comes back later on to be like, oh, this is why that episode was important, or that half
Okay, so
episode.
the
it's a half
the series actually has payoffs.
Oh, dude, no, it's all payoffs. The first episode, I was like, oh god, I don't think I'm gonna be able to watch this. I was thinking about it, but the last 30 seconds of the first episode piqued my interest enough to go like, let's see what else
Well,
happens.
sure, my interest was peaked when all of a sudden Magneto came in and he was hot. Like
That's
it's like,
well. First of all, can we just talk about hey Zaddy? I was like,
I know,
hey.
man. I was listening,
You're
like,
gonna-
maybe you're not wrong.
Wait till
Maybe
you
next
see what happens with Magneto. I'm telling you, man, you're gonna be like, what? What?
Okay.
What? Yeah, it's a thing.
I am willing to. I'm more than happy to be wrong when it comes to this
Yeah.
show.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Because the first episode, I was just kind of like, ugh.
wait till you see, and then wait till you finish the series, and then I was very proud of myself that I caught. There's a sequence that I texted Watkins, and I go, hey, this sequence there's a lot of resemblance to another sequence in a live action movie, and he says the writer director, that's his favorite sequence of any live action superhero movie of all time, and he paid homage to it. Like he verbally said that, and
cool.
I was like, but I caught it live. Like I didn't know that. So while I'm watching it, I'm like, this sequence seems a little familiar. And he was like, yeah, that's his little homage. And I was like, oh, go ahead. All right, I caught it.
Hey, look at me getting references.
Look at me. I understood it. I got that reference. I got it. Yeah, I was absolutely. Yeah, but it's good. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. No, the first episode is the hardest episode to get through, and then everything else after that was fucking just great. It was just great.
All right, yeah.
But the very first episode, you know what bothers me about the first episode? It's so much of the previous. It's just a lot of exposition, but it's so much like mutant kind and humankind and mutant kind. Like, oh, shut the fuck up, man! Just like move on with this, and then yeah, it got me. But yeah,
like we get it, we get it.
Yeah, we get it. You're being discriminated against.
It's so hard.
Oh, it's so hard to have superpowers. Oh my god.
Yeah, none of us would ever understand what it's like to be judged.
There's a lot of responsibility. Blah, blah, blah. But it's good. I thoroughly enjoyed it after the first episode.
Do you end up liking Cyclops finally?
You should have. What? So what's that? Can you really quick online, because my Wi-Fi is shot? Can you really quick tell me the name of the first episode and the name of the second episode of X-Men 97?
X-Men 97 episode titles. Episode list. Okay.
Just IMDb.
The first one is To Me, My X-Men.
Right. So
then,
my redemption arc for Cyclops was that first episode, because they showed him to be the leader that in the original series they did not show. So I was with that when he came out of the jet and he fucking blasted his way onto the sand without a parachute. That to me was like, oh, you're an actual leader. You're not
right.
You're not just a pansy. I was Cyclops gets better, but they all get better. Okay. They all get better. The only one that doesn't get better in the sense of like, oh, you end up liking him more, is Wolverine, because Wolverine doesn't have a lot of story arc. This whole story arc is the story of Jean Grey, Cyclops sending their baby, who ends up becoming Cable in the future. And again, this is not a spoiler. If you've read the comics, you know this happens. This is that story arc. It's a lot of Mr. Sinister. It's a lot of Mr. Sinister. It's a lot of Scott Summers. It's a lot of that Jean Grey. So it's a lot of that. And then they wedge in their Storm and Forge, which is another amazing character, which I'm so glad that you're gonna. Anyways, I don't even want to spoil shit for you. It's so great. It's really good.
I just
first episode is the hardest.
The title image of the episode put the screenshot of the moment in the show that unintentionally made me laugh so hard. It's when they all they all run through the door to like find Magneto in the room, right? And they're all like, they all go into their superhero poses because they're wearing their basketball and Scott's
Sure.
dressed like a freaking referee. And like, no, he's
Sure.
not dressed. He's wearing the basketball. And Jean Grey comes in dressed like a referee. But like she comes in and she's doing like this angry face, but she's holding her pregnant stomach like that, and she's going like she poses like this.
Yes,
And
sure.
it's so fucking
As
awkward.
as
I
a pregnant
lost
superhero
it.
does. As a pregnant
Yeah.
superhero does. That's what they do.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
Like she did the Beyonce like pose, like when Beyonce like revealed she was pregnant mid concert. She did like the little
Yeah.
maternity pose, but intimidating.
So this is a I had this note about Magneto. I was like, why is he the only one that doesn't have any non-superhero clothes? Can somebody go to fucking Target for him? Can somebody go to Ross for this motherfucker? Like, what is happening?
But then he
Anyways.
would have to interact with humans.
But he does. Okay, never mind. You're gonna see. You'll
Okay,
see
all
what's
right.
up. You'll
I'll
see
see.
what
I'll see.
happens.
I'll see.
You'll
I'll watch it. I'll watch
All
it.
right. Anyways, we're gonna end on that. Thank you guys for checking us out. Check out. I acknowledge my new album, Live in Miami, drops on June 14th. Pre-sale start 2 weeks before that, so pre-sales are not up yet, but they will be soon, and I'll make sure to let me know. Follow me on all my social media. Everything is at Nary Signs, except for TikTok, which is Nary Signs Comedy, because somebody got Nary Signs. I try to fight TikTok off as much as possible, as long as possible. Anyways, thank you guys for checking us out. Go to WuBro Pod. Everything is at WuBro Pod. Make sure you guys check that out. Stephanie, thank you for coming here. We love you guys. That's how winning is done. Ba, 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 ba.